Yo,
You know when that was?
what is going on?
We went to go see your house.
I know it's a whole lot of random stuff going on right now. I'm sitting in my chair. I'll talk about that in a second. This is in here. This is in here. I know, obviously this is in here.
Getting work done. Over.
We got the walkie-talkies on deck. I called in Ron. We got Zach. We over here still chasing, trying to find leads on the power for the hazards right now because we think that the gauges are linked into the hazards. Granted, even if we just gave the gauges power to find out and see what's going on with them, we know that they would work, but eventually we're gonna have to get to the hazards, so we're tackling that right now. I might do my exhaust this week. I'm going to just cut out that resonator and try to get it up as tight as possible because I'm gonna give up on that. And as far as
Tomorrow. Over. Hey, let's get the exhaust done then. Over.
Shut up, bro. I'm doing something. I don't know what you just said. Anyways, the seat, the reason that this hasn't gone in yet is I'm still waiting on Bell Raceworks. Bell Raceworks has been backed up. I'm not gonna say they said, on Drift HQ it said that it was, that to them they said that it would be October 1st when they got back into business and that they would send me a link with the tracking order. I still haven't gotten a tracking number, not tracking order, tracking number. So I'm still waiting on that. I'm at the point where I might just cancel the order and order some other ones. I really wanted to try those just so I could show you guys because Bell Raceworks makes some cool stuff, especially for the SC, but it's been over 2 months and it's about to be over with October, so maybe I'll do that. I really want the seat in too. I've been trying to drive the car and it's just not the same. Anyways, let me ask Ron what he said. What do you say, Ron?
I don't have anything to do tomorrow afternoon. Can get the exhaust going. Over.
So y'all heard it there. I guess I'm gonna do the exhaust probably tomorrow. So
You only got me for 4 hours though, not no 12 hours this time.
it's just the mid pipe. It's just the mid back. So it's literally not even, no, my bad. It's not even the axle back. It's axle back, like so in front of the axle back to the front of the resonator. That's it.
The resonator pipe. Over.
The resonator to the axle back.
Cakewalk. Over.
Yeah, it should be easy. So yeah, we'll probably get that done this week too. So you guys will get some SC content. Don't worry. I'm not gonna just stop the SC content because we're doing the stuff with the S14. I'm gonna try to flip flop back and forth so that you guys can see both, especially because with the S14, this is nothing exciting. So literally it's just us chasing wires all this week. So I'll be here, I'll be working, and I'll be filming, and I'll try to get you guys some new exhaust stuff. I know this exhaust sounds really good, and I know we didn't really get too many videos of it. It is what it is. It'll be louder. It might shoot flames. So yeah. All right, let's continue on. Still no luck with the S14. We're chasing stuff now. We haven't decided to give the gauges power yet. Maybe we'll do that today, I don't know yet. Gonna do some voltage drop testing, but I'm gonna let Zach do that in the background. In the meantime, we're gonna do my exhaust stuff. Ron is here. He's over there finishing up a chapter in the book right now as he's reading. So I do have some other cool stuff for this. It's really not, it's cool to me. It's probably not cool to y'all, but I got some aluminum. Now, I know maybe some of y'all are confused. Some of y'all maybe got an idea of what's going on, but you don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Basically, what I'm gonna do is, remember we have this insulated with tape, aluminum tape, or heat resistant tape. Well, it's irritating me just because the tape is just not thick enough, so exhaust gases kind of push through around the edges, around where the trans mount is. I mean where the trans is. So what I'm going to do is eventually, I'm not going to do that this week, but I just want to show you guys. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to have it done this week. I know that for sure. But make a panel there so that I can, and then riv nut everything, drill holes in and riv nut everything. So then it'll be a panel that I can unscrew and take off when I'm taking the trans in and out. And I won't have to worry about that tape and having to replace it every time and having to be delicate with it. So I'll be doing that. That corner bar is just so that I can put, I'm going to cut it probably in like, probably 2 inches, and then put it on here and put a bolt through it, because if you look, let's zoom, you see that right there, that little hole, there's a bolt on the other side. It's holding in the actual piece here to make sure that this doesn't move around, and that always comes out because it's not actually set for this. The dowels come out too because they weren't actually made in the piece. So what I'm going to do is put that plate down, and then from there we'll bolt that down, and then we'll put a riv nut through this so that it's a bolt that's actually threaded through so that it can't come out, and it'll go right into the shifter and we won't have that issue anymore. So that's something to look forward to. It's not that exciting, but it's cool for the guys that like fab stuff. I like a little bit. I'm not a fab guy, obviously. I'm not doing anything special like welding, but I'm gonna make it work with what I got. Hopefully we get there at some point, but you know, in due time. Okay, so I actually looked under there and actually inspected everything. It looks like I'm gonna be able to just use this straight pipe, which would be beautiful. I'll explain why. So if you look, we got a pipe there. Here, we'll zoom in. We got this pipe here and we got a pipe here, right? So these are two 45s, I guess, put together. Now this one is loose from the other one. Now again, welds failed, smacked on the ground, broke the welds, which is actually a good thing. It's gonna work in our favor because that means that we can twist this pipe around and we can adjust that other one up there, which can actually go up. The other good news is that this part is actually not touching the ground. So when it's bottoming out, it's only touching this, which means that we shouldn't have a clearance issue even though this is really low. We're gonna put it up anymore anyways. But the reason that that's good that we didn't have to cut that. Normally we would have had to cut it and then readjust it from there. Now instead all we're gonna have to do is cut here, be able to adjust this one because the welds failed. And then we're gonna cut in front of this, and then literally the pipe here goes directly straight to that. So all I gotta do is take this pipe, cut it accordingly, insert it in between here, and that should be a straight shot. And I can actually just bend this around so that it becomes a straight shot and so that this is more tucked up into the chassis. And we won't have to do too much more work. The other catch is that did happen was I wasn't getting these welds hot enough for some of it. So on the O2 side, it might have just came off because it smacked against stuff. But basically I'm gonna get it hotter because the O2 piece bung came off. So we're getting a leak there as well, which I did hear and I wasn't sure what it was. And it definitely is the O2. So it probably banged against the chassis and then snapped off, which you'll see once I take all this stuff out. But for now, I'm gonna do some cutting and then I'm gonna get all the pipes all piped up because I should be able to do it without having to take anything out. Then I can tack weld everything and just tackle everything and just weld it all at once when it's out. And we should be good to go and have a good exhaust back in. And I would say, I hope under like 2 hours, and that would be fantastic, which means we get some revs and hopefully some flames because we're not gonna have a resonator in it anymore. And hopefully it's not too loud. So I'm gonna get to work. I'm not gonna film too much of this because we've been doing exhaust stuff for a while. Even though you guys do like to see all this stuff, I've been trying to finish the exhaust and get it all tied up and all tidied so that we can do literally just a whole exhaust video of all my exhaust clips. Because I think that on the old clips, I took the music out so that it was just straight exhaust, which means that I can compile every clip and do a long SC300 video of just exhaust noise. And yeah, you guys seem to love the exhaust videos, that should perform well and should bring new viewers in, which can bring us to do more stuff. So let me get to work, let me get this done. And then on top of that, we can also load the car and get the rear aligned. All right, I'm gonna get to work. I know I had a crazy angle, I forgot to zoom out, but resonator's cut out now. I'm about to put that pipe in. I don't know if y'all can see. Zoom back in. There's that pipe. Where's my finger? There it is, right there. And then you can't see the other side, but that's the O2 bung hanging right there. And then that's the other pipe right there, and it comes like this and like this. So now it should be straight pipe through. Okay, I got a whole lot going on. Ron was here. Ron helped me out. My boy Dance is here now. It's tacked up. It fell apart, so I don't know if it's exactly right. I did mark it, so hopefully it works. I'm about to weld everything. I did some of it, as you can see. I just don't got this welder set up right. I didn't even clean any of this stuff. That one broke again, which was because we were manhandling it. So I re-welded that. That broke off, so I got to redo the O2 sensor. I'm just going to send that too. Wish me luck. If this doesn't work, I might just buy an exhaust at this point. We will see. Bear with me. Hopefully this one doesn't break, because I don't want to do this ever again. At this point, like I said, I'm either going to buy one. I'll take it to my boy Nick. Nick, if you're watching this, my car might be coming to you, because I'm lazy. I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to get back to work, and then I will show you the end result. Hopefully it's not too loud. No more resonator. I ain't going to hold you guys. I did some terrible welds. I don't even want to show y'all. My welds were terrible on this one. It's because I didn't clean anything up, and I just kind of sent it. I didn't put enough heat into some of them. I put enough heat into some of them. Crossing our fingers. Like I said, I really don't care at this point. That most of it slipped into each other, so hopefully, even if it does have an exhaust leak, it doesn't fall off. Because honestly, I could care less at this point. As long as it's relatively somewhat quiet or going towards the back, I don't care. But I got to put the O2 sensor back in. I still got to bolt all this up. That's my friend. He's outside. But once that's bolted up, this will be all good. This I had no issues with, so I definitely had the right heat for all of this and this. And yeah, so that's where we're at now. This didn't have any issues with hitting the ground. It looks like it's scuffed a little bit, but nothing crazy. Mainly it was just the resonator in the back. So now that we don't have that, we should be on the money. And I'm about to get us a cold start, and that should sound pretty good. Hopefully we get some flames now. That looks like it's sitting where it wants to be. Low key might be a little too far back, but we're gonna find out. Let me get back to work. Here we go. Exhaust is under there. It's still pretty low, I ain't gonna lie to you. But I really don't know how else I would have tucked it up. I tried. I really set it up even differently, but it looks like it's at the same angle still, so it is what it is. I do have a zip timer there holding it now, so I shouldn't move too much, but I gotta cut this. I forgot about this. This little extra piece right here. I'm about to cut that, because I put a new one onto that. It's still low, man, but I don't know. There's really not much else I could do here. Like I said, best case scenario, I go buy one or have my boy do a custom one, which low key, if I buy one, it still might be too low to the ground. I just thought about that, so I'm about to start this thing. Hopefully it's not too low. Hopefully we don't hit the ground, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think that this exhaust is gonna survive if it hits the ground, but it is what it is. Oh, granted, we're also up on the front end, so I forgot about that, but I'm about to cut that tab off, and then we're gonna get a nice cold start and hear what it sounds like. I thought, but it's definitely louder, but it actually sounds pretty good.
over to, is mobile open over in Waterford by the mall right now?
It might be.
Fucking August is lit. This shit's fire.
Oh God, it really is.
Back, I'm gonna pull into Sam's right now.
Bet. We lit.
Talking, I'm gonna adjust my volume.
Damn, this a fire shot right here that I'm getting, no cap.
Alright, we won.
Fuck, nigga. We really about to test this exhaust. I forgot about this bump.
Damn, I set you up, little key.
Hold up. It made it.
My boy shit smooth criminal.
Yeah, no, that was actually a good ass test. This motherfucker actually not as loud as I thought it was gonna be, which is nice, and it sounds good from the back.
Yeah, this shit sounds dumb smooth. Can't even front.
Alright, I'm about to do these downshifts.
Copy.
Tell me if I need to move up for the 2 times.
A little bit. Move up a little bit. good. You're good.
All right, about to start.
Yeah, I got that shit.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, my boy. The fucking screw came out and I still handled it. No, film this right here. You in front of me? I mean, you ready?
You got it.
About to rev, so it's gonna be loud.
We got some clips. Man, my driver nice. So we got some clips. I don't care if it's foggy right now. I apologize if it is, but it was great. The car was revving high, sounded really good. The exhaust actually isn't as loud as I thought it was gonna be. But because the car was being revved, guess what failed again? Now, if y'all remember, y'all been around, the power steering line almost popped off again. I smell it right now. I just checked it out. It's leaking. So I gotta order that AN line ASAP, the steel braided line one, the PTFE one. So now I'm limping it home. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and probably cut it and shorten it again so that it can be at least good enough to drive around and not have to worry about it till the other one comes in. But I really don't care. I'm just gonna take it home tonight and then I'll fix it tomorrow. I can't even see the dang light. My car's so low. Yeah, but the exhaust sounds great. I mean, you guys can hear me talking right now and it's not terrible. I really think that has to do with the 2 1/4. It's still loud upon exhaust, like revving. I don't know if we shoot flames. I tried a little bit, but I didn't get anything. And then you guys saw this dude driving on the road and then revving under the bridge, but it didn't shoot no flames. You gotta rev it a certain way. It's gotta go to like 5K, drop to 3, and then rev back up. So I'll figure that out and hopefully get some flames for you guys. Maybe it just doesn't shoot them anymore, I don't know. But usually the JZs do, especially the old ones, because they tend to run rich. So that's pretty much it for now. Maybe you guys will get some more clips tomorrow because I'm gonna check. The clearance is much better. I did touch once, which means that if I lower it, it'll probably be too much. I'm really tempted to leave it ugly because the car is performing really well. It's driving really well. I know the fitment isn't on point, but maybe if I go with those other rims that I wanted to get that I haven't told you guys about yet, with the crazier offset, it might look a little better, but I don't know yet. So there's still a lot to figure out and to check out. But for now, I'm gonna limp this thing home, and then tomorrow you guys will see me put in that AM line again, and I'll order some PTFE so that I can hurry up and get that. And that also confirms that it's definitely the pulley that's having the issue, and that the big pulley was definitely putting in work and helping that out. Maybe I'll go back to the other line and do the big pulley for now, and then I don't know. We'll see tomorrow. I'll see y'all tomorrow. But for you, it'll be the next clip. Okay, so I know it's completely different now. I don't know where I left off. I don't know if we watched the exhaust video yet or if we're gonna see the exhaust stuff yet, but the exhaust is done. It is still a little low. I still may have to adjust it in the future, but for now, we're gonna ride it out and we're gonna send it. I'm probably not gonna lower the car anytime soon. Maybe I'll go down like 1/2 inch, but not for fitment specs. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'll get into that into another video, but for now, let's talk about what's going on today. I'm back at my shop, and the reason for that being, you guys probably heard me talking about it already, the power steering line failed again. Now, the good news about this is that we know the problem now. We know that the problem is the pulley. Now, yes, that line is not strong enough, but the reason that I don't want to just swap it out for one of those strong lines is because if we swap it out for one of those strong lines, these lines, the silver one is rated for, it's supposedly 1500 or 1200 PSI. The regular ones that are black, so those are PTFE. I don't know what those are. I can't remember what they're called, but they're not PTFE basically. So those ones are only rated for about 150 to maybe 300 PSI. And basically you can run fuel to them and not have any issues. But this is obviously not fueling. Now, I was banking on the fact that the pressure comes from the pump, it goes into the rack, and then hopefully it'll slow down in the rack and then come back up to here and not have an issue. But because it's coming out of the rack still so fast, it's still coming out pretty highly pressurized and coming back into the baffle, and the baffle is making all that pressure blow the line off. So those lines are not capable of handling that pressure. But the reason I haven't replaced it with one of these is because I don't want the pressure to back down to the rack and then pop the seals on the rack, because this will keep pumping pressure. The pump will keep holding the baffles will hold the pressure there, which means that these points are much stronger than the rack seals are, which would mean that all that pressure will go back and it'll blow out the seals on the rack, and then we'll have a mess, and we'll have a non-working rack that's leaking all the time, and we don't want that. The rack is leaking slightly, but it's not terrible right now. Like, it's still drivable, it's not an issue. So that's why I did not do a PTFE line for that return hose yet. So what I'm thinking is we go back to the big pulley. I'm not gonna do that today because I just don't have time to find it and do all of that work. I'll probably do that next week, but the big pulley definitely works better. The catch, like I said to y'all before, I know I haven't mentioned in this video, but it'll make the tensioner squeal, and it's fine, it works. It doesn't have any issues, but the tensioner will squeal and it makes a chirping noise and it's annoying, and yeah, we don't want to hear that. But for the sake of not blowing the line off again, we're going to replace it. I will say that the pump doesn't die now with the AN line, so that's a positive, but the lines die. And of course, if you put a strong AN line on both sides, then you're going to blow the rack, and we don't want that. So that's not what we're going to do. We're going to go with a bigger pulley, and then maybe we'll go to a stronger line after that. But yes, we're just trying to find the weakest points, and we found them. Anyways, back to what's going on with this. No, I'm a little bit all over the place. There's a lot going on this week. So with this car, now we are still chasing electrical things. And I know that I didn't film too much of this because a lot of this is going on in the background. This is all the boring stuff. But I'll give you guys an explanation of what's going on. If you want to see it, you can see it now that's at the end of the video. And if you don't want to see it, you can skip to the end of me piecing you out. But I'm going to explain what's going on with this. So right now, S14. Mind you, it's not my car. I'm not familiar with this car. Like, not in terms of just chassis being S14, SR20, 4-cylinder, turbo, all that stuff. Like, also because this is not my car. I don't know what's been done and what hasn't been done. Zach knows for the most part, but Zach forgets to tell me because Zach forgets that I don't know. So basically, remember I was talking about the gauges weren't getting power, and that I believe that they were on the hazards because the hazards weren't working. But what he didn't tell me was that the radio also wasn't working, and that the radio worked prior to the car going to the shop that it went to, and the gauges were working at that time. Now, I got Ron in here. So Ron's more familiar with electrical car stuff like I am. So me and Ron were able to talk and actually diagnose a little bit better than me and Zach, because Zach isn't familiar with electrical stuff for cars. So once me and Ron got to talking, we kept going back to the same thing where we're like, we got to chase down the power. We got to chase down the power. We got to chase down the power. We tested a bunch of things. We voltage dropped. We went to chassis to see if we were getting voltage at certain points. We were getting voltage at a lot of the points. And finally, we decided to chase down the wires, which is what I was trying to do initially. But Zach didn't want to cut up the harness. It's not the harness. It's not that we're cutting the wires, but he didn't want to break up the stuff that was done with electrical tape and things like that. So finally, we cut that back. And guess what? It was attached to the radio. And he didn't tell us that the radio was working prior, so we weren't thinking that it was going to be the radio. So now that we found out that the radio was working prior, we found out that the power was coming from the radio for the gauges. And if the radio isn't working, then obviously the gauges aren't going to work. Even though we did find that some of the gauges were getting power. But what we're thinking is that if the radio isn't getting power, maybe it's not grounding out or something. And then basically it's leaving it open for the radio, which is going to leave it open for the gauges. Now, the other reason that we were confused about this is because Zach also showed us this. This is stuff for the subwoofers. Now, we were quite confused by this because we didn't know if this was where everything was wired into. We didn't know if the radio was manually wired to this, and that there was an amp back here, and that the wiring went back here and not for the power. It does not. This is just a subwoofer setup. So basically, this is just the power for the subwoofer, and then all this stuff is on its own thing, and then it has the inputs that just go to the back of the radio and input signal to the back of the radio versus tying them directly into the radio and doing the wiring from the radio back to here. So we found out we didn't have to worry about that. Again, I know I'm throwing a whole lot of information at you. This is what's going on though. And yes, we did check a bunch of fuses. Like I said, we voltage dropped and tested all the fuses. We tested the actual inputs on the fuse boxes so that we could see if they were all getting power. We went to this one. This is the other thing that was confusing me and Ron, is that, so mind you, SR20 240 chassis came with a KA. I don't know if these boxes are different. You guys probably know better than I do, but I don't. I'm seeing that there's things that aren't there that are there on the all data side, and all data is like, it tells us all the stuff and the basis what all this stuff is. I don't know if this is because it's a base model or because it was an SR20 or whatever, but this doesn't have a plug in it. So it doesn't have the plugs for the radio over here, which is the radio fuse on the box. It says it on here, right? On the actual one that we looked up for the diagram. So we were confused by that. We were trying to chase all that stuff down. And then, like I said, finally we chased it down to the power and the radio in the harness over there when we finally cut into the electrical tape and opened everything up and found everything. So now, next week, we're going to chase all that down. We're going to try to get all that set up. Worst case scenario, we just give the gauges direct power. We get power to them, and then we can figure out what the car is doing and start going from there. Something else that Zach also brought to my attention, which he did tell me, but through text, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff. This was going on with the shop, that the shop was telling him that, you know, this stuff was wired incorrectly for the E-fans. He's got a clutch fan and he's got an E-fan. Why? I have no idea. He doesn't need both. I will say that he does need one. And supposedly these aren't even wired in. So we're going to have to wire them in. This, I did not know. This wasn't brought to my attention. I just assumed that when he was talking about the wiring, that they were talking about that it was janky, not that it wasn't wired in. The wiring is, we call it janky just because the wires are thin for the amount of voltage that's going through those wires. So I did want to get some thicker gauge wires on those before we started running the car as a daily setup. With that being said, it's not even wired in. So we don't have to worry about replacing those wires because we're going to just do the whole thing. So with that fan not being on, this also leads me to believe that the car isn't getting proper cooling, which leads me to believe that, yes, the head gasket probably fried. Hopefully it didn't fry again. We'll find out. Supposedly Zach was saying, and this is all, I don't know because I'm not an SR20 guy, but supposedly this isn't the right SR20 gasket. I guess there's different SR20 gaskets, which I wouldn't be surprised because it is the same for the 2J, but supposedly it's not the right gasket. So there's that too. But there's a whole lot that we're finding out and we're figuring out and we're trying to chase. So the main thing is get the gauges working, and then from there we can read everything, and then from there we can diagnose better and we can get it tuned and get the car at least idling and doing its thing. Oh, I got more bad news too. Fuel leak. Now, I don't think they touch any of the fuel lines. I think they're just old. I believe that this has an AN setup, but I believe the AN setup is way back from 1990s. So we're going to have to fix that. We're going to have to get that fuel leak fixed. I'm not too worried about it. You know, everybody in my shop is aware that there's a fuel leak here. So as long as nobody's an idiot, it shouldn't catch fire. But yes, there's also that. So we have our work cut out for us. With that being said, now I'm going to piece y'all out. I'm not going to show you guys this whole power steering stuff. I did it about 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. If you want to see it, you go check that out. But I will see y'all next week. I hope you enjoyed.